April 21st, Friday, 1893. I ran into Jean-Paul today. It was the first time I had seen the boy outside of special events since he moved away 13 years ago. I decided to be the one who approached, since Charlotte has been saying I have not been taking initiative in building a relationship with my son. But given the cold glance my boy shot at me, who could blame me? "Hello," I began as I walked to the young man in line at the store. Jean-Paul simply looked me up and down and almost gave me a low groan. I heaved a short and annoyed sigh and rolled my eye for a moment. "Settling back into London, I see." I made a gesture to the sign of the shop we were standing in, as it was the tea and dining room shop. Jean-Paul remained facing the same direction, and averting any sort of eye contact as he replied,
"Leave me alone. I owe you nothing."
"You disappoint your client, Schwester. Should she know that you would greet me in such a way?"
What, are you going to tell on me or something?
I scoffed at his words.
That would make us sound more like our Musa.
As someone so keen on instructing others to speak the proper language of the company they're in, you sure are dropping a lot of German in an English shop.
Oh, don't be so harsh and resentful. I simply dropped 2 words.
3.
He still managed not to look at me once during the entire conversation.
What are you even doing in here? This place seems too cheap for your taste.
I saw mine
I shook my head slightly and made attempts to correct myself.
My son had wanted to talk to him. Is that not what fathers do? You're now only a few kilometers away, so why not celebrate? Let me take you out.
On top of not trusting your offer, I am busy. You know, with moving in and all.
Don't trust my offer?
He finally looked at me.
You hardly ever have made time for me before. Why would you now? You don't do anything without any sort of personal gain.
Is that not what all humans do? Altruism is a lie, because even helping someone for the sake of feeling better about yourself still disproves it.
Jean-Paul let out an aggravated sigh while shaking his head. He finally made it up to the counter, and just as the boy handed his intended purchase to the clerk, I had been quick to state,
"I will take care of this."
My son shot me a bewildered glance.
No, you won't.
I already had my purse out as I dismissively waved my free hand at the boy.
Then what is it I'm doing right now?
I won't allow it. I can afford it just fine on my own, and I intend on not owing you anything.
He turned to the clerk.
Do not take his money.
It is a gift, mein lieber Jung. A housewarming present, if you will.
After a little more detesting, I finally received the compliance that I demanded and walked the young man out of the shop. Jean-Paul almost looked to be angrily defeated as he shook his head in disbelief after wandering out.
I cannot believe you,
he grumbled. But my attention was now elsewhere as I caught sight of Charlotte exiting out of a nearby carriage. I found myself instinctively pointing out.
"Oh, look at Charlotte."
My son looked over in the same direction and caught sight of her as well.
You're right. Is she entering the cemetery?
Oh, of course.
In that moment it just hit me.
It is Lottie's birthday.
I still do not understand why she feels the need to visit her grave at least twice a year. The anniversary of her death or her birthday should have been more than enough. Both, however, is unnecessary.
That is right. I almost forgot.
Really? Oh, you used to be such a little duckling to your mother.
He rolled his eyes.
That was a long time ago.
Shall we pay her a visit as well?
Really? I seem to remember you wanting nothing to do with her anymore.
Guess that was a long time ago as well.
Be honest. You just want to keep an eye on Charlotte.
Wouldn't every father want to make sure his child is safe whilst in such a dreary place? Big brothers, too.
Jean-Paul groaned and nudged towards the direction of the graveyard.
Fine. Let's check on her.
I moved in front and took the lead. I have never been much for eternal human-designated resting places. They seem so pointless, like a waste of space. Just burn the bodies or let them decompose and fertilize on the planet's soil. What was the point of putting them in a fancy box? Though Lossie's Jewish religion forbids cremation, so we were supposed to bury her to respect her lost wishes. I truly do not understand humans. The two of us acted more like watchdogs than visitors, as we only would inch ever so slowly into the necropolis, in sync with Charlotte's travels rather than freely roam ourselves. Clearly neither of the two of us wanted to be here, aside from being newsmongers. Charlotte simply sat at the tombstone set for her mother, as she talked to the non-present entity. That is a rather amusing thought, as she could literally see Lossie at home whenever she pleases. Though she is only there as an apparition and image, since it appears her mentality is no longer present. My daughter left a small flower arrangement, and what appears to be a photo. Jean-Paul suddenly broke the silence as he spoke.
Does she actually do this every year?
I kept my gaze on the young woman as I answered.
Yes, twice in the year in fact, for both Lossie and Heidi.
Does she still blame herself?
Why don't you ask her yourself?
Maybe I will.
He shot me a cold glance right before gliding away from my side as he approached his sister. Now I was the one following his lead. The two of us came up to Charlotte's side, and the girl tried her hardest not to show through how emotionally touched she was that we came along. Though it was probably best not to tell her the real reason. I'm sure she's figured it out on her own anyway.